And we are live Wednesday night with those guys. And Wednesday night with those guys is sponsored by
Those
guys.
What's up? What's up?
What's good, everybody? It's hump day and it's Wednesday night with those guys. Welcome, everyone. And how are you guys doing?
I'm good.
Good. What's up with you guys?
I'm hanging in there. Can't complain too much. Not really.
Stevie and I got a chance to fly earlier this week, which, Stevie,
Okay.
when you had said the time, I said to myself, damn. But the only way to catch a sunrise is you got to be there.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I live 5 minutes away from the spot where we had to fly. But I got some really, really nice footage with that old bird I was flying with.
Yeah, I like what you shared already.
Bye bye, guys. What's up? Hey, Welsh Rob.
Hey, Steven.
Hey,
Welsh
Steph.
Rob.
What were you saying? What were you saying, Stevie?
No, I was saying that I already like what you released, so I could imagine that straight shot through the sunrise right under the bridge. It was crazy how far you were from the bridge. You took off and made it right under the bridge. Like, it was just perfect. It was perfect.
Because I'm actually used to flying from that spot and going towards the bridge. But I'm going to tell you something. I hadn't done that run in a while. The first time I did it was like over a year ago. And I was showing a guy. I was like, I shouldn't have been showing off, because when you show off, you crash and burn. And I'm showing him on my screen because I have a 7-inch tablet, you see. Right. And I'm like, this is how you do. You line up, you aim straight for it, and you push the throttle straight at it. And he's like, well, what happens if you start drifting slightly to the right, to the right or the left? I say you slightly drift in the opposite direction. Because I did make 2 course directions, but they were very, very subtle on the way. But
you don't see it. And in the shot, it just looks like a straight run nonstop. You don't see no drift. You don't see nothing. It looked like it almost looked like you went under the bridge, threw it in reverse, all the way back, and then just went forward without touching anything, which is hard to do. It sounds easy, but it's hard to not move left or right. Hey, how you doing, JSK?
Drone shots. Well, you know what? I backed up just far enough because I knew I saw the birds there. I said, if I go too far ahead, they're gonna scatter. So I backed up and I set up for it, and I was like, no, now I'm too high. I got to get low enough so you see the birds take off on the It was planned. I enjoyed it.
It came out perfect. Hey, Jody, drone shots. Yeah, it was a nice shot, man. That and the still shot you caught of the sun just breaking. You did your thing. It's funny because you switched up that day to the camera drone, which you've been burning packs with the FPV drone, but you didn't skip a beat because you had your settings on point and everything. I remember when you went up and I was looking, you were showing me the screen. I was like, he has it just perfect for this time of day. You just had it perfect. All you had to do was like frame your shots, but your color and everything was just immaculate. It was super on point.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. That's just to let you guys know. I started out a camera drone person. Everybody on the panel here owns a Phantom 4 Pro.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Just about.
And I'm keeping it. I put a statement on my Facebook about the Air 2S and the FPV, the DJI FPV drone. But I didn't have a picture of my Phantom 4 Pro because I didn't have it out that day. But I made a comment that, I will keep the Phantom 4 Pro, the Air 2S, and the DJI FPV drone. And the rest can hit the market. Honestly, the rest can hit the market. There's no need for the rest of these drones. And I'll do it I'm not in a big rush. I still got the Air 2. I still got the original Air. I still got a Phantom Advanced.
Okay.
So slowly I'll bump them off. I want to do it locally because I want to give a full tutorial and all that stuff. I don't want people saying, "Oh, this drone don't work" and all that stuff. I want to make sure I meet with the person, show that everything works properly, and then they could go on their way. I'm not gonna ship it out nowhere. So
that's what I did when I sold my solo and I went DJI. I had my first DJI bird was a Phantom 4 standard. And I'm going to tell you something, and everyone that in this live stream that flies drones, I'm going to tell you one thing. it's not about the drone and how advanced it is and the sensors.
Hmm.
You have to know how to do a little something to make it work. And you have to take your drone. It could, what was I flying? What was I flying, Stevie?
The Mavic Pro,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
flying a Mavic Pro 4K at 60 at on sunrise. And if I didn't tell you what it was, I could have said it was a Mavic 2P. You would have never known. But the point I'm getting to is, so I can let Herman get into his stories and stuff,
Well,
is make what you have work. Everyone was flying Phantom 4 Pros, and I didn't have that aperture control. And
mhm,
I have pictures from back then that I still post,
Yeah.
and people
Yeah.
can't tell.
Well,
mhm,
that was my thing with the Mavic Air that everybody hated. If you live in a
mhm,
city like we do, it really can't get that distance and all that stuff. But if you know its shortcomings, you could make that drone work. Like you're not going to go far with it, right? You got a small sensor, so when it's dark out, you're not going to really go for your favorite shots. But knowing what it can't do, you
right.
could put it into play. I used to carry that drone. It's so small. I think people forget how small the original Air was. It's smaller than the Air 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so you could literally bring it anywhere. And that's what I did. And if I saw a nice church or some nice structure, I pulled
You
it
could
out and
make
I
what
flew
you
right
had
there.
work at the time.
Yeah,
Well, you know
I'm
what,
not flying
Stevie?
2 miles away. I get the shot and I keep it moving.
Well, you know what, Stevie? When I first started, I started with the P3 standard. The P3 standard has that smaller sensor, and the P3 standard was fine. It is what it is. It didn't have, the variable aperture,
Right,
like the Phantom 4 Pro, but neither did the Phantom 4.
right,
The difference what I see now with the Phantom 4 to the 4 Pro was that the blues and stuff like that, it calmed down. The blues were very heavy in some of the images with the original Phantom 4 Pro,
So you
Phantom
think
4,
they were more
right.
towards the cooler
They were more
side?
and and
saturated.
and the Phantom 4 Pro. Well, I'll say this about all DJI drones, the earlier ones, especially the even now the smaller sensors, they all kind of oversaturate and beat up on the shadows with some of those smaller sensors.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
The Phantom 4 Pro, that, and I showed this to Lawrence too, that camera automatically oversaturated,
Hmm.
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it automatically over sharpened.
He showed me a little tip, Stevie, and from that point on, I was off to the races.
Right.
And I didn't know what he meant by oversaturating. He said, "See your video or see this picture. Now look at mine."
Right.
And once somebody shows you something, some people can learn through books, some people
Mhm.
can learn with their hands on, and some people learn visually. And
Right.
and that I picked up visually. I saw the difference. Hey
And,
Tom,
and
what's up?
and what's up, Tom? And you know what,
Morning,
Stevie?
Sherman.
Stevie.
How you
I'll
doing?
still deliberately oversaturate something when producing it,
Right.
because that's what I was looking for. Sometimes I do that, but I noticed with the DJI cameras that out of the gate, when they're very very contrasty, and they have a tendency to oversaturate.
Yeah. But I like working with their color profile and stuff. You could
Well, yeah,
tone it down and all
that's
that.
what it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. It's a good start. At least they have a good start, right? You could tone it down.
well, that's how I found that. That's how I found that, decent like and stuff like that in the settings to go and do that.
Right, right. Yeah, when I first got it, I didn't mess with the decinema and all that stuff. I just was going, you know.
And
I
I
was working more about finessing the shots,
Mhm.
and maneuvering better. And then I started figuring out all this stuff and trying to match the colors and stuff like that. And I'm still in that matrix,
Mhm.
with the
All right.
color matching with the GoPro and when I'm vlogging and stuff like that. I'm still
Oh,
Right.
I
in,
do.
in
I
that
do that.
process.
You have
Yeah,
to. You have to
yeah,
color match your GoPro because that's a different camera.
yeah.
First of all, it's a different. It's saved in a different way than
Right,
your DJI saves it.
right. So
DJI, like Herman said, maybe oversaturated if you leave the camera in auto out the box, and you
right,
don't know how to turn it down, tune it down some. And GoPros aren't oversaturated, but sometimes slightly under. So when you're editing, you do have to color match them, or you can tell it's separate footage.
Yeah, and you know what? I haven't
clear
mastered
about
that
that.
yet. I'm work in progress, but I'm enjoying the journey. Let's leave it at that.
Sometimes you can
I'm
actually,
enjoying the
That's the
journey.
important part.
sometimes you can actually see that from when you're actually doing, actually doing the actual video or actually taking the actual picture.
Right. Well, I try to cover it up with some good content, even though the colors don't match it perfectly.
No,
Well,
but seriously, I can show you some shots from the P3 standard, and you'd be like, wow,
Yeah. No,
what was that shot with? And
right.
it's, I mean, these things. I mean, if you're not 3 miles away from your image, they just deliberately take good pictures. you know
Right.
what's up, Tom? What's going on?
What's
what's
that?
going
I'm
on?
just back at work.
Okay.
Just got off. Working
Okay.
remotely still, but that changes in a week. So
All right. All right. All
Sound
right.
like you're depressed that you got to come back this way.
you could say that. Okay, I'm trying to mask my depression. Okay.
He was
But,
just he was just on the West Coast, flying over mountains and cliff sides and
I'm still out here.
fresh
I'm still
air,
out here.
watching
Still here.
dust levels and stuff. But having to come back,
We come back Saturday.
You come back Saturday?
Yeah, we come back on Saturday.
Wow.
So, but the problem is, I still got a few days of flying in me, right? But right now, let me check UAV forecast, and I will guarantee you the wind is going to be the bigger problem there.
the winds.
So-
What are the winds?
25-mile-an-hour sustained, and 45-mile-an-hour gust. I'm sorry, that just went up to 50, and that's not at altitude. So
That's light work, bro.
Oh,
You got an
I
FPV
can
drone
honestly
now.
tell you,
yeah, that's light work, Stevie, except in the desert with nothing in the way. That could wind up being 70 miles an hour. So
It'll be on the Vegas Strip.
the only problem with the FPV, Stevie, is I'm out of battery before I realize it.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean,
That
you
wind.
chew that up. Well, it doesn't matter. No, forget wind. Okay, talking about I named my drone Wind. So it's chewing up battery, like you
All
wouldn't
right,
believe.
well.
But that's hey, I ain't complaining. But Stevie, so the big complaint I hear about the Air 2S, and this is what gets me in. And Herman, you were mentioning, you take pictures from far, far away. Yeah, well, that's what we do with drones, right? We're taking in a whole vista.
Mhm.
So the big complaint I hear out there is the fixed aperture. So I want to know how you're introducing that very, very shallow depth of field with 2.8, Stevie.
Well, I'm
Okay,
already so far away. You know what I'm saying? Like I
It-
can't
it- that
even
it
get that
doesn't
depth of
matter.
field. Yeah,
That
that's
it-
what I'm
Right.
saying.
This is what you do with it. This is why you have to learn to use the tools, right?
Exactly.
So the tools that you
Agreed.
use when you have a fixed aperture, okay, turn around and use an ND filter.
That's it. That's
Have
my
a
only
series of ND filters, and that's how you craft it. Look, there was only one aperture on a pinhole camera, but yet they made an image with it, right?
and look at how
Okay.
many amazing images are out right now that are classics, and they were done with cameras not even 2%
And
the quality
Please,
of what we're using
please.
today. So it is, I think cameras, the better the camera, yet it helps out and everything. It's not
Let me tell you,
necessary to get an aperture.
Stevie, the number one insult to a professional photographer is, ready?
I already know where you're going.
Wow, you must have shot that with a really nice camera.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like if you go to a person's house and they cooked up this amazing dinner, everything is flavorful, everything is tasty, and you get up and say, "Wow, you have an amazing stove. What kind of stove you have?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean? Like
Yeah,
the stove
yeah.
didn't cook it? You know what I'm saying?
right,
I cooked
right,
it,
exactly,
So
exactly.
how you doing, Wes Rob?
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, well,
so
you
my
know.
my thing about the aperture thing is, and the reason why I got the combo, the thing. All right, so let's throw it back a little bit. I bought the FPV drone, and then the filters were freaking back ordered. Everywhere I went, it was back ordered, right? So I ordered it. Once I got the notification from B&H first, because I put the notification in like 3 different places. B&H notified me. I ordered the filter, right? 3 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by. I actually got the filters from Herman. So but the long story is they still, I canceled the order because I'm like, they're still shipping, and Herman ended up getting me the filters. Now, I didn't want to go through that wait with the AIRT 2S, and I need the filters because now I got this wide open 1-inch sensor. So I bought the combo because the combo comes with
You know what
I mean? I didn't need the combo because I already have 4 batteries on my AIRT 2 and they fit. But I bought the combo. I have
the batteries are compatible. It's the same battery.
So now I got freaking 7 batteries and freaking one bird. But I plan to sell the AIRT 2 and I'm gonna sell it as a combo just to make a good
exactly.
I don't need it, you know what I'm saying? So, but my thing is the filters are necessary, and I wasn't waiting for 2-3 weeks for a company to release them and then they'll be back ordered because they're so new. I didn't want to go through what I went through with the FPV drone, basically.
Right.
So,
I got right away.
Combo. So the filters are necessary for people like myself that I'm primarily video. See, if you're taking pictures, you could bump up that shutter speed, whatever, and you could work with it more.
Oh yeah,
doing video, I'm trying to double, with the,
do the reciprocal, do that 180
with the shutter speed. So I'm doing one.
So Stevie, I wish I would have known. I've had those filters for a month. I won in a contest. I just sold them today.
See, we would have met halfway, bro. We met in Boston or something.
That's right.
Connecticut. But
well, look, the aperture it's short-sighted when people say, okay, look, I have to be honest with you. The 2S basically is a better drone than the 2 Pro. I'll come out and say it. Okay.
Well, before, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Stevie, let me explain to you what happened here with that. Phantom Hodges won the filters in the giveaway, and he gave those to you.
Right. Yeah. And I shouted him out on Facebook. I don't know if he has Facebook though. But I wanted to say Paul H. I wanted to thank him for passing them to me. He basically told Herman that he don't have an FPV drone. he told him to relay it to me. So I appreciate that big time, man. I really, really do. Because I've been flying with shutter speeds I would never do video in with the FPV drone. And then I look at it and I'm like, and then it introduces the flicker too. Like, when you have the shutter speeds that high, it just, basically I'm practicing anyway. So I don't have no epic shots that got wasted, but.
Oh yeah, no, Stevie, I agree with you, man. I couldn't fly out here without the ND filters for the FPV drone. I just couldn't do it, man.
I really appreciate it, Paul.
Yeah, a lot of stuff would have been blown out, Tom.
Oh, completely. Not just that. It's exactly what Stevie's saying.
One of those cloudless days.
We as humans, our brains introduce that blur. Okay.
Yeah.
We need it. So, especially if you're doing some low level stuff, you might want to introduce a little more blur in to get that feeling. So there are things you can do. But I'll tell you, I've been using the ND32 out here almost religiously. It's just around sunrise or sunset that I'm using the ND8 because it's just big sky out here. That's all I got is sky out here. So, you got to use the ND filters.
Mm-hmm. So Tom, you were saying something about the
well, on the aperture.
On the Mavic Pro and the
when you start to look at the feature sets and you look at the capability that this Mavic introduces, and it's a Mavic. Come on, at the end of the day, it looks like it smells like it folds up like it. It's a Mavic, but the thing here is that it's got a camera. The only drawback to it is the fixed aperture. Right. That's a workaround, people. That's an easy workaround. It's lighter. Mm-hmm. You get it up in the air much quicker. Better battery life. Better battery. Okay. We don't have the incident rate of bloating that you do with the 2 Pro.
You can see I have an ND filter.
And look at the cost. Look at the cost. Now you're talking about 10-bit. It's a 20 megapixel. No rocket science there. No magic mirrors and they sensor fixes and hacks. It's a pure image.
What's up, Eddie?
Yes, 5.4.
The Eddie?
5.4. Okay.
See, that's
It's croppable.
what I would like to play with that 5.4 and take some pictures.
Yeah.
Well, some of the things, photo taking at the 5.4, no problem there. Video taking with 5.4, you will run into some issues. And some of those issues are you're going to see props. It depends on how fast you're flying. Because remember, the field of view is significantly larger here. You're not talking about this anymore. You're really talking about a much wider view that you're getting.
Right.
And the thing that they introduced into this is the autonomous gimbal, right? So because you have the master shots modes that this comes with now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, it's going to take 10 different cinematic type of shots on a single target that you select. And since it lacks side senses, as it starts to fly around, it's not. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me just grab a visual aid. Okay. And no, Stevie, it's not the 2S in my hand. But one of the things that happens, let me just bring up the zoom interface for a second, you guys, so I see myself. But one of the things that happens with the camera,
it's disappearing with the green screen. There you go.
Oh, yeah, I got to keep it in front of me.
Right there, yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that happens is when it's flying around something, okay, it doesn't have any side senses. So one of the hacks that DJI came up with was turning the gimbal slightly so that it's actually it's not flying completely sideways, right? Mm-hmm. So the senses can still see any obstacles. Because the worst thing that could happen is it crashes itself during a master shots mode, right? But part of the problem there is that introduces the props into the shot sometimes.
Yeah, that's what's the newest revelation.
But I see that being fixed.
And the
Stevie.
arms are coming out in it. Something.
Yeah, well, I see that being fixed with firmware because they will build in some limiting to what angle it will actually move to.
Or tip the camera.
Yeah, so there's some ways around that.
I'm not into the quick shot and all that stuff anyway. So, but I saw some I saw some footage already that was exposing the fact that the props were getting in the shot and a little bit of the arm in one of the shots in that master thing.
Right, in the master shots mode.
Yeah, in the master shots.
Like I said, I don't know if it can be fixed by just tipping the camera. Maybe they'll do that in firmware because that was always an issue with the Phantom series all the time.
Yeah,
if you look
absolutely.
Straight ahead with the camera, you'd always get the.
When you go and
So if you always had to just tip it down that way, just a slight bit to keep it out of the keep the
well, think about it. It's a big problem. Here's another reason why I'll say the 2S is a better buy than the 2 Pro. Mm-hmm. Besides it being half the cost. But let's look at the fact that when you do want to take some striking video, say in sports mode.
Welsh Rob said Ash just did a video of that particular subject today.
See, it's out there. So the information's out there, which is good. What's really good about that is the fact that with the information out there, that DJI is more likely to take care of it quicker. Okay. So it's good that we talk these things out. Also, it's good that people are educated and they know what they're buying. But when you're flying in sports mode and wanting to capture video, part of the problem you'd run into is the camera would keep jilting on you in sports mode.
Yeah.
Okay. That's because of the angle in which you're flying. So right away with the 2S, they modified that, and where you don't have that bouncing, that gimbal bounce. So there's another reason why I say it's a better buy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I heard that the Air 2, I mean, not the Air 2, the Mini 2 has that bump too. The only one that didn't have the bump was the Air 2.
Was the Air 2 does not have it,
It's
right?
the only one that didn't have the bump, and I guess
Yes.
Air 2S
Yeah.
doesn't have it
And
as
the Air
well.
2S inherited
But
that.
I remember when Mikey used to do videos, he's like, "Oh, my neck," because the Mini 2 would do like a bump out of nowhere, like
Yeah.
like just like the Pro 2, just like the Pro,
Right.
the Mavic Pro 2 or the 2
Right,
Pro.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, and look at the
have a-
cost difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So guys, check this out. We all saw history made this week, right? With the Mars
yeah.
flight. We saw some video that was released. Some new shots that Lawrence had some video.
You gotta enable sharing.
Oh, okay. Thought we did that. Oh, my
No. Okay.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely history making.
Yeah. So we got some shots there that, I'm quite sure everybody has seen, but they said these video shots were at 34 millimeter focal length at 6.7 frames per second.
Yes.
And they're part of a sequence of some 1,400 frames that were taken. So they say that there's supposed to be some more zoomed in shots at 110 millimeter coming soon.
Yeah, they wanted different perspectives to see how it was actually operating.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand in the sky, because keep in mind with the low gravity there, not only did this bird have to weigh 4 pounds or less, but it had to generate a lot more torque to get it off the ground because of the thinner atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
it spins 5 times faster than a helicopter would.
It would if it was on.
Yes. Yeah, because it's like 1% density in the
You have
atmosphere
right, no density.
And Mars, yes, 1% in comparison
gravity.
to Earth. And also, a fun fact: they had a little tiny piece of the airplane from the Wright brothers, like a little piece of cloth on that craft. So because it was so historic,
from the Smithsonian.
Yep, they took a little piece of cloth off of the original airplane from the Wright brothers. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, and the next thing we had was now we've all know that we've seen or whoever saw the tweets, and like I told Lawrence, I got up that morning and I was on the phone and I heard the alert. Now when I checked it and I saw, okay, there was a question that first appeared, and the question that came up was Mavic 2, Skydio 2, Autel Evo 2 Pro. It was a question. And then after that, at 6:20 appeared some pictures and talking about a Mavic series of drones, shown drawings for patent drawings of a Mavic series to come with cameras and motors downward facing. So if you look at that image, the last one that came out, not that picture,
the most recent one.
The most recent one.
The Mavic 3.5 you put like all the way to right there. That one. Yeah.
1 year.
Yes.
That one.
In position A1 and B1 shows some cameras positioned in there for its obstacle avoidance, which is the same as what was featured on the Skydio,
right?
Which uses 6 cameras, as well as the camera up front for taking images.
The main camera.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I see exactly what you're saying. Oh, right here, there's going to be a sensor. Right. And not only that, if you notice the props are inverted, the props are inverted. Right. But for 40, here is a sensor. Number 60 is a sensor. Number 60 is a sensor
It's
here.
A1, right?
Yeah.
A1 position right there. On
A1
the
right
two
here.
motors, and
Yep.
P1 you look on the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
In the rear, which should help give it that 360-degree angle that they're
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah, that's what the
Combined
Skydio
with
does.
a couple more sensors.
Now that is the same thing that is done with the Skydio.
Yeah.
So now these are pictures that have been released, and I was telling you that some of these shots that they came out, some of these drawings of this drone started coming out from like last year, what, July? Started talking
Yeah.
about this thing.
Yeah. There's one dated. Which one, right? Well, we know the FPV bird was drawn by Ostilov last year. This was his only version that he came out with, and he said DJI FPV drone, and in a tweet he put coming soon.
And that's accurate.
Right. And here's something else that may be included. We haven't gotten to the Mavic 3 part of his leaks, but there's a drawing of it with LiDAR on the bottom.
These are all, they've been
may,
talking about it quite some time.
that may be kind of interesting there. And of course, everyone's seen this picture here.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the pictures that came when this came out, it did not show you those downward facing motors.
Right. This picture.
It didn't show you the obstacle avoidance cameras on the
right. The arms are completely off screen, if you notice.
Right.
And it focuses more on
there were other pictures that came out
camera.
with this.
What happened?
There were other pictures that had surfaced when that had came out, because if you remember that came out around the same time when everyone was talking about the AIRT 2S.
Yeah. Well,
that camera looks like it's on an Aspire, right? On
it,
that last
it
drawing.
looks Inspire-ish. Yes,
Yeah.
it actually does.
Inspiring me.
Yeah. I know they had questions about how the arms in the front would fold and how compact could it be if the motors
Well,
are facing,
if we go back to the picture, that would explain. If we go back here, that would explain why they didn't show it here.
right.
Because showing it here, people would have automatically looked at stuff like this.
Yeah.
What is this?
How would that fold?
What is this? What is this bubble on top of the motor being inverted? What is the bubble here?
Right.
So it I couldn't even tell you,
Stevie,
tell you
the blades would have to stay tucked with the
yes.
You would have to fold forward, right? And then fold the blades the way they fold.
the arms, those arms are going to fold back just like it does right now. But the
Right.
blades,
The bottom's always folded under from the bottom out like this.
they'll nest
What
together.
about the front? If the motors, I know
But-
that was in question, like where the front arms are going to fold, because it doesn't look like it has a clear path.
Well,
to go
that's
back.
what I was looking at. I was looking at this indentation here,
Right.
and but this is below this centerpiece.
Keep in
This
mind,
whole
this is
section.
It's no different.
drawing, and this is just a drawing.
Yeah, true.
The hardware is subject to change slightly at
That's
any
true.
at any moment
They're really
before
too.
the frame is actually constructed.
So here's one problem I have with that image. Okay, and I'll use my visual aid right here.
Okay.
So yeah, these props would wind up nesting in this space right here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I would see that would happen. But guys, where's the landing gear on the front?
No hand landing.
You
No
noticed.
hand landing.
You noticed, and I want to bring it back up. I
It's
want to
gonna
bring
have-
this back up because no one said anything about landing gear until now. Herman did mention something, but right here you see the drone. If you look, this bottom is sort of has an extended piece here. In this other picture here, wait a minute. In this picture here,
We're gonna have to start making diapers for these things, right? Landing
you
diapers.
do not see anything close to landing gear.
Right.
So if the sensors were on the bottom, Ostilov made a statement. He said catching
Yes.
catching the Mavic would make it almost impossible to hand.
Well, that's because the props, the inverted props. I ain't
Yeah,
catching that.
Exactly.
I
But
just
don't
mentioned
know.
that.
at
But
this,
the thing is, the body itself is going to have to have some kind of like something similar to that, like little legs.
Right. Now hold
Yeah.
it, Stevie. Hold it up like that. You see the little feet at the end?
Yeah, but here's the
If you
problem.
look at the black camera here, they almost extend along the length of the body.
It's
Right
not
here.
impossible to do.
Yeah,
Look
it's
at
just
this
no
here.
hand,
It's not
no hand
impossible.
catching.
Down
What,
here,
Yeah, you see
what
it.
you're
battery
not
on top.
giving me,
Yeah.
It extends down here. I could see a foot being under the camera here and foot in the rear, which would keep it off the ground.
Right.
This particular picture.
not enough for the
Oh,
big
I'm
ass
sorry. I
camera
showed you the
that I
wrong one.
want hanging on the front of this. Do you understand?
Here, look here. You
Okay.
see this
You'll
right
be
here?
amazed at what you can hang off the front.
Please, you
You see
cannot
this
put a big
extension?
camera.
Hang it. So that gives hang low a new meaning, right, Steve?
But Stevie,
You
here's
see
the
it now,
right
straight
here.
to the ground.
Yeah.
If you look at the bottom of this bird, notice how this piece
Yeah.
is extended down
That look-
along the body.
Right.
That will probably be, or something close to the foot. I'm
Okay.
speculating.
That's the only way it's
Don't-
going to be possible. But the only thing I see as a problem, hand catching is not necessary all the time. But when you're on a boat in
Mhm.
places like that, that's what's going to be like hard. How do you understand?
Screw that shit, bro.
You're going to lose a
No,
finger.
no. I got to keep the fingers. Okay.
Listen,
Let it drop right on the boat.
Take off too many of those, somebody else is wiping your ass. It don't work. Bro.
hey, what's up?
Okay?
How are you?
Yeah. That's the only time I see it as a problem. You can land, you can throw
Eddie,
your
I'm
finger-
back on Saturday. And
Well, that'll definitely eliminate, with the inverted props, that'll definitely eliminate hand catching.
Yeah,
Unless
that's
you
over.
sever your a vessel on your wrist, risking catching
So
it.
you let it come down too low if it cuts your wrist.
Yeah. Nah,
man, I rented a little electric boat.
And
on
also-
Wells Fargo
Lake
says,
Las Vegas.
Wells
Uh,
Fargo says, is there any advantage to inverted props? To be honest, it depends on the design that they are inverted on. I mean,
Yeah.
this is obviously designed with lower props. I can almost guarantee with the lower props in front, the camera has more of a wider field of view. And
yeah,
the props
that's
Yeah.
partly true, depending on as far as whether it makes a difference in flight characteristics. Really depends on where the center of gravity is.
Right.
And if
right.
they
That
if they
depends
put
on
a larger camera on it and there's more weight up front, they
Well-
might want to lower where those thrust stacks originate from, meaning where the props are.
Right.
But the real difference here is what Lawrence pointed out. Depending on the ability of this camera and how much play you have,
Mhm.
if it's a much larger camera, I actually want to see it be able to clear that front nose, okay, in a tilt, right? So if you have a much larger camera and you have the props up here, you're
They're
still
in your
going to
view.
introduce, right, that
They're in
props
your
into
view.
the shot. With the props down lower,
Mhm.
you can keep that out of the way. Plus, if it does require larger props and more powerful motors, you want to get that turbulence out of the way, right? You don't want to continue to introduce that turbulence across the airframe itself.
That's right, JSK.
So,
I think it had to do with more so the obstacle avoidance.
I agree with Herman, and that's what I was going to say.
yeah,
The
yeah,
body
and that's a good point.
With the
Yeah.
obstacle avoidance on the body, the
You won't have
arms
it.
have a tendency to be the issue of an obstacle.
Yeah,
So
and if you have
now,
props
if you
flapping
have
above it,
If you have the obstacle avoidance cameras at the end of the arms,
Mhm.
exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Now it feels its way around a little better.
Yeah, because I'm thinking
I
this.
still have two concerns about that. I have a concern about how it's going to land, right?
Mhm.
And plus, now you put those props down low.
It has the land sitting back.
Yeah, but okay, where are my antennas? Okay, I want to make sure that another reason. Remember, these aren't just arms, guys.
Mhm.
These aren't just arms. These are antennas in here as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah,
Right.
So, you know, and you
But
want
they've
that air.
eliminated that possibility of snapping that off, because I've seen a lot of stress cracks on Maverick Series drones with those legs.
Look,
That's why you don't land in
tell me
sports mode.
what piece of landing gear doesn't have stress cracks, okay?
True. This is
My two legs, the four wheels on your car, okay? The 18 wheels on that big rig, and the 18 wheels on that big 747 coming in, they will have stress cracks, man, wherever you're going to land.
Well-
I'd rather have the stress crack on an arm that I can easily replace than on an entire chassis that I have to worry about.
Right,
But
right.
my
mean,
issue
totally.
there is, unless that comes with a big ass camera, I ain't interested. Okay.
Well,
Right.
I'm thinking
And is Audley in the chat? Aerial landscapes.
Saying that this time they have
Audley,
to
man,
go
you're never
better.
going to buy another drone. You're going to keep waiting for that magic drone to come out.
Well,
Right?
listen, I
gotta
got something to
commit,
say
dude.
about
You
that
gotta
as
commit.
well. Because first of all, I believe what Welsh Rob was asking. I believe the props are underneath. This is upside down, obviously, because if
Yeah.
the sensors are up here
Up there.
and you're flying, you getting a full readout of what's
You're
going
getting
on
more
around
view,
you,
right?
instead of
was-
having it like this and it's kind of shooting downward.
Yeah.
And if you angle it to go upward, now you're hitting the props itself and it's getting false readings. So I think this will be the easier way to get a 360 environment, right?
well, it's
And then
funny
you have the
explain
back.
it.
Then you have the back, and you get into 360.
Yeah. So we
top
don't
here-
know how.
Matt,
in the
well,
back.
it's funny you explain it that way, Stevie, because I was actually going to bring that up about the sensors being on the front arms up and in the
Up.
rear back.
Right,
Because
it makes
you know
sense.
anything about a 360-degree camera, most cameras cover a 180-degree angle from here to here, flat. So if you have these sensors here, that covers 180 degrees on top. But the props in front and the sensors on the bottom, you're covering that 180 degree here as well. And like you said, with between the sensors on the back and the front obstacle avoidance, that
Right.
makes it a full 360 degree obstacle avoidance, which would bring it up to the level of a Skydio.
So, folks, this is our new segment called 60 Seconds of Speculation.
Speculation. Awesome. We
So-
engineers.
Well, it's
Yeah,
gonna
we have
more
no.
faces than that,
So
bro.
the only disclaimer I'll make is we don't have a freaking clue.
No, we need the words of
and
disclaimer.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Oh, all right,
Okay.
here we go. The views and opinions that are heard tonight are not necessarily the views and opinions of everyone on the panel and or in the chat.
But I bet I'm right.
Brand Ariel said, look, one thing it definitely does is putting the props inverted like that definitely will affect your downward view. It all depends on how they hang that camera.
Right.
And also at this point, a 1-inch sensor is not going to make me spend $2,500 freaking bucks on the next drone.
Well,
So,
I tell you this.
ain't doing it.
If they did this, right, they pulled off the 360 environment and made it close to what a Skydio could pull off. And Skydio is a great drone, but to me, the way I fly, it's a one-trick pony. I don't see myself using a Skydio for what
Yes,
I do.
it is.
I don't see myself using a Skydio, so I didn't purchase a Skydio. I'm not knocking
because you
anybody
didn't
that-
buy your one wheel.
I didn't want to.
Skydio has to come with the one wheel.
I don't see myself
That's how they should
tracking
market
stuff to that level. Maybe if I was into more sports and I was doing stuff myself and I needed to document myself, that's the perfect drone. But I don't film in that fashion. So to me, a Skydio was not, it's not something I could really put to play. But imagine having these Skydio features and what DJI is doing currently.
Well,
it would be a sick drone. But
you're getting close with the 2S, Stevie.
yeah, but
With the 2S's capability, you're pretty damn close.
I'm close,
Well,
but
guys-
it ain't my category, so I don't really even need it. To tell you the truth, if they came out with it, it wouldn't. I wouldn't be in a rush to purchase it, even if it could pull off what Skydio's doing right
Matt,
now and had.
real quick, Matt,
I don't think that's the thing that would draw me in.
Real
Nah,
quick,
it's
Matt,
not a
in the
magnet.
chat, there's so those props under the arms on the Maverick 3 are confirmed now. No, nothing's
No.
confirmed. We're just speculating from the pictures. We had showed some pictures before you came in.
It's not confirmed until DJI leaks it
Lauren shot
Okay.
those pictures from
Out
Canal
there.
Street.
Well,
Exactly. This is
we know we all gotta wait to see that FCC
yes.
with
There's
these
no
patent
FCC
pictures.
ticket.
Just
But this is the
Yeah.
guy that nailed it with the FPV drone, right?
Not
Same-
saying
same
he
source?
doesn't nail it. There'll be pieces.
He nailed
of
it with
this.
the
Let's
very
not.
Mavic series
Look,
too. He's been nailing it for years.
No.
He's been nailing
And
it for years.
He's been a reliable source.
He will put it this way. It was
Stop
rumored
with the
that he didn't
reliable
work
source.
there.
This is marketing 101.
It was
This is
rumored
not a
that
reliable source. They
Yeah.
are feeding you. Okay? They're giving you those little morsels. It's kids. Keep coming through the woods. Okay? Every little bite gets sweeter. Before
Hey,
you know
Matt.
it, you're sitting in a stew
absolutely
pot.
right, Tom.
Okay?
That
Paying big
DJI
bucks to get
themselves,
out of it.
I agree.
DJI
Coast to
themselves
coast.
put him out as this person that leaks these things. DJI, you saying, put him out there to say for them to run super.
and it's a great way for you to
someone in
test
his
It
family
works
had
for
worked for them.
them.
Mhm.
It's
It's
their
a great
way of
test the
marketing.
market.
The only
What's that,
difference
Herman?
is that you don't get a 1099 in China. Okay, come on now.
That's
You
their
should
way
be
of
on their
marketing.
tax rolls at this point.
It's called leak it out and let the
They
community
sold more drones
throw it
than
around.
Best Buy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Who you did?
so look, we're all pining. We're all pining for the latest and the greatest. Okay, they just released a drone days ago, and Stevie already has it. Okay, so
I
look,
almost waited to Monday. Almost.
I
ended up
almost
getting the
just
weekend.
couldn't do it.
And
could
then
you?
I looked on my phone.
You know why?
What
You know
store
why,
has
Stevie?
it?
Because you're so in love with the two.
The 2 is amazing. It's
Right.
the perfect
I mean,
size.
Yeah.
It just does everything, and it's the perfect size for me.
It's
That I
to
like
go
move around.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Go everywhere. Don't leave me at home drone.
yeah. I don't have to. And it's a little it's more powerful than the Mini 2 because the Mini 2 is more transportable, but this thing has more
Great
power. It has more
Yeah.
power. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
And then it's like a
Sure.
no-brainer to me. Now I have the same size with a bigger sensor, better transmission, and all the other perks with the the picture, the bigger pictures, and why not? That's how I see it. I'll eventually I'll sell the Air 2, and I'll just narrow it down: Phantom 4 Pro, Air 2S, and the FPV drone.
Yeah, I'm going to get,
That'll be
I'm
my
getting
my
rid of a
lineup.
lot of drones.
That's my trinity. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of everything else. Everything got to go.
I'm actually only going to keep the FPV and maybe the 2S.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll sell off the 4 Pro,
What's up,
the 2
Jackson?
Pro, the Air
Oh,
2,
great.
and I got a Mini for sale too. So
Yeah, but
Well-
I'm not gonna hold on to stuff I'm not gonna use. I'm not, collecting.
I mean, it was nice to see that they supported
more than
the
the kids,
small
Steve.
All I
controller.
need is a Phantom 4 Pro controller. Right
Yeah,
now.
put the word out. We were talking about
Yeah,
that.
put the word out, guys. I need a Phantom
Well,
4
I'll
Pro.
tell you, if you buy one controller from me, it comes with a Phantom 4 drone. So
Yeah, see, I
do have
if
that package available. So
I get it, Tom. I get it.
okay, yeah,
I do get it.
So they showing the whole thing
Unfortunately,
together.
yeah.
unfortunately,
That controller also comes with, I think, some filters also.
Ooh,
Okay.
just keep getting sweeter. The deal.
Just
Hey,
Making it all
Jackson,
sweeter,
right?
man.
how you doing, Chris?
you're trying to sweeten the pot.
That's what
So
it is, baby.
So then if I get that controller with that drone, then I would have 2 Phantom 4 Pros with
Then
one.
you could put them on the wall right behind you, just like, and be like her.
Oh, I'd never hang my Phantom.
Okay.
Blasphemy. The blasphemy to put a Phantom on the wall. See how Herman has? If I was shelf, yeah. But I'm not hanging the love of my life. My Phantom 4, I'm like
I thought
this
she was sitting in the
Phantom 4.
kitchen outside, man. So be careful.
Listen, I already told my wife, she knows who I'm cheating on her with. Okay? She knows who I'm cheating on her with. It's either one of these hookers up here or the Phantom in the room. The Phantom sleeps in my room like a dog.
Look at that.
Hey, Stevie, my wife was on camera for a couple of seconds the other day. She said to me afterwards, "Those are the geeks you hang out with."
Oh man.
Funny.
Wow.
That's funny. This became the buy and sell with those guys.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah, I tell you, we're gonna have the
Gotta be
buy and sell swap meets.
We need
Yeah,
one of those
whenever they heat up.
auction
I
guys.
have a sticker going across the bottom of the screen with stuff for sale.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
put
And
the
with a-
word out there,
with a
guys.
clock.
Like the Phantom 4 Pro controller. Seriously,
What else you need?
huh?
What else do you need?
The Phantom
Use
4
the Phantom 4 controller.
That's it for now.
for now.
Stay
And then-
tuned. We'll let you know any updates on Sunday.
Anybody know anybody
We
that
need anything
recently
else.
crashed their
That
Phantom 4?
Welsh Rob mentioned it earlier. Stock's been dropping in e-hang, so it's hard to get my
Yeah,
hustle.
you're not going to be able to afford
Well,
it.
you,
soon.
well, you just put a
Lawrence,
plug
You're
in
gonna have
there.
to set up a
Lawrence
GoFundMe
needs a
site.
deal.
But you know, guys, we also saw some images of this new, supposedly new camera that leaked. We don't know what it's going to be. What it's
Also
going to be
leaked
called.
by Ostilov.
But these pictures also came out by Osita LV, and
the
what
reliable
appears to be some
Employee
high
number 3.
quality camera.
Well,
And
I-
not that one, the ones
No,
that came
you're
out
talking
later,
about
the
these
latest,
here.
the latest ones.
These here you're talking about.
There you go.
Yes. Those.
Well, come on. This is natural progression of things. They're right. They don't want to be just the drone company.
Well, can I point out something real quick before you guys start getting into all the camera talk and stuff? The reason I had showed this picture first is because this was taken and this was drawn or whatever, July 7th, 2020. If you notice this large barrel for the camera lens, now if you go back here, this camera has the same large barrel lens.
That's a Zenmuse. That's a Zenmuse X7. That's what that
Okay,
is.
I know nothing of these
That's
cameras.
a Zenmuse X7. Yeah, that's
Yes, that's
it's
exactly
available
what-
for the Inspire too. And Stevie, look at the battery pack on the back. Does that not resemble the FPV battery pack?
Yeah, right. It's very
Except when you look at it in relationship to this gimbal
I wish I
device,
could have
it does
these
look
pictures
thinner.
up, but I can't.
But think about it. Come on now, Ronin.
Yep.
Those, this is the natural progression that they're going to offer. They offer a consumer grade version of this, right? It's called the Pocket.
Yeah, Osmo, yeah.
Yeah, right. The Osmo series, right? Well, this is natural progression to go into production camera device.
I'd
Yeah,
like to see
this is
what's gonna
definitely
happen
heading
with
towards
this.
production.
Oh,
Because it has
this
a
is
viewing
this is
screen.
pro. This is not even prosumer.
It
Yeah,
almost
that's
looks
pro.
like it has a light on the front, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
If you,
it does.
Show the picture from the front.
If
And
it,
you
it
have your
actually,
control
what I
handle and
see
everything.
here, Herman, it actually does right here. Picture number 3. This actually looks like a little miniature floodlight.
There's a
And if you
front
look here,
view
it
of
is
it.
confirmed. Right
Yeah.
here, you have the white,
Yeah,
the white
in the
square
front
right
view.
there.
The first
And
one,
right here.
there. That's the
Guys,
one.
you know what that might be though? Time out, guys. On a camera like this, you're not putting a flash on the front of it,
No,
and you're not putting a steady light on front of it. That's for focusing. Okay,
Interesting.
that's what that
You
is.
think that's
If
a
you see
focusing
that it's got
sensor?
a fogged up,
You think
it's
it's
a
a focusing
sensor.
sensor?
it's a focusing sensor. Okay, these people are going to build cars now too. Okay,
hmm
realize what they're doing. They're just elaborating on all the various technologies. They're gimbal technologies, right? They're camera technologies. They own the lion's share of Hasselblad, right?
Well, the
Yeah.
robotics of the company too.
And their sensor technologies. Now, think about one of the biggest issues you have in this is being able to do that focus, that follow focus, right?
hmm
And keep things in focus at all times. It's an art form. That's why these guys are DPs, and they years of experience before they actually get on the camera in a production environment.
right.
Think about introducing this technology now that once he targets something, it's going to stay in focus. He has control over the amount of bokeh in the background and how much is in focus. They're just
that
taking
makes
their
more sense.
technology and advancing it.
Well, they trying to stress the fact that they are a technology company that just dominates the drone world, but they are a tech company, so
Well, look at how
with the-
quickly Stevie in the camera platform arena, Okay, it didn't take long until the Ronins were accepted and are becoming commonplace now, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So
But like just like the drones, you build quality stuff. It's
fit and
easier to
finish.
sell. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the fit and finish of the
We're not
product.
fanboys. They just happen
Pro
to make the
grip.
best
Well, I
drones.
think what the thing was when they were able to adapt a camera to their drone, that's what made them a true flying camera.
Mhm.
And they've just evolved the camera year after year after year, or 6 months
They
after 6 months after
he,
6 months.
here's where you got to tip your hat to them. They're not stale.
No,
Okay.
True.
And
That's
they
true.
don't, there's no false promises.
Listen, that's like a restaurant that serves a lot of that has a lot of customers every night. You don't have to worry about really the
You
food
get the
being bad.
turnover. You
Just
you
right.
go
The
to the
people going
deli with
down,
the line, right? You go to the delicatessen with the line.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That you have to
yeah,
wait a
like
few
Cat
minutes
Deli.
to
You
get
go
your
to
deli
Cat
sandwich
Deli,
because then you
so
know all
they
the deli
sell
meat's
good
fresh.
food.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you look. They what they're doing is they're building pieces of the puzzle. Everything they build is modular in form, right? It's very agile in their approach, and they just keep re-leveraging this technology. I mean, the camera that came out on the first Osmo Pocket, right?
Yeah,
That wasn't that the original Mavic Air camera sitting up there? I mean, basically, that's what you have,
basically,
right? So the one thing is they got a room full of people that are going, what's next? What's next? What's next? Because a good company doesn't take all their revenue out and spend it willy-nilly or let it just sit in a bank. A good company takes a good portion of that dollar and puts it back in R&D.
right.
Okay.
True.
And you can't say DJI doesn't have an enormous R&D
That's
department.
true.
They
You
have to.
cannot say that they're boring. Not one
No,
little
no.
in anything that they do, because we were talking about it on Sunday, how the DJI here in the United States, that Robotech, RoboMaster, robot, whatever it is, didn't take off here in the United States. A few people brought them, but over in some parts around the world, I was watching a video, Hey Drone Life, and these guys work in two office buildings. And it was a battle of the buildings. You see these guys going out for lunch, they're punching out and all this stuff, and they're sitting around eating their sandwiches, and then they show one robot, they show another robot, and it's these two guys battling while everyone's eating lunch around these robots and stuff. And it's
Yeah,
really
but
over there, but it
one
did take
thing the
off.
robots introduced was their step into the STEM arena
Mhm.
and their ability to provide an educational outlet, right?
Yes.
So look, a one-trick pony is a one-trick pony. That's you can never claim that's DJI. Okay. They're working every facet of that diamond they can, and they're polishing the hell out of it. Do they have advantages? Of course they have advantages. They have a government behind them besides. Okay.
Mhm.
I think that also provides them obstacles, which we've all seen, but they're handling it. Now, one thing I think they just did was they set us up, Stevie. They set us up because
They do it
they
every
basically they just discounted our pro level, okay, camera platform
Okay.
that we basically spent
Yeah.
$1,900 for, okay, with our Fly More combo. They replaced it with a $1,300 package
Mhm.
that does just about everything the pro level.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, of course, we won't be buying the next pro level camera for $1,900 because they'll introduce a bunch of new features and we'll be spending an easy $2,500.
Well, they already
Easy
have us.
$2,500.
They
Okay.
already have us sitting here.
That's my prediction right now,
to
guys.
buy it.
They just
And it hasn't even
look.
come out yet.
It's the first time you get in there, it's tight, right? Okay. After that, you're breaking it in, right? They broke us in, dude. They broke us in. Okay, Stevie. They keep reaching into our pocket, man.
I'm done. Listen,
Okay,
I don't
it's
need
like a bad
for what I
date,
do.
dude.
For what I do, I don't need more than the Air 2S. if I get a project that's, you know, a budget project, I'll get the Pro, you know, the 4 Pro out, you know, so I can have the aperture and all that play around.
Here's the
listen to
problem.
this. Clients like bigger drones. You know, they just want to see a bigger drone.
Yeah.
So it's better to pull up with the Phantom.
Shoot with the Phantom or the Mavic.
Phantom. They don't know anything.
Yeah, they're not gonna want to see this. But the Air 2S is enough for what I do. I do little YouTube videos when I can and stuff like that. What more do I need? Honestly, I'm interested in what they're doing. Obviously, you know, we're talking about the Mavic 3 possibilities, but I don't see myself investing in the 3. You know what I would like? 4K 120, possibly, to kind of, you know, have more options as far. But
so here's the thing, though. But here,
possibly
Stevie, you just
putting my bid in
until.
So 2 predictions, Herman. You got 2 Wednesday night predictions here. Stevie, if we roll the camera back, Stevie said, I don't really need anything more than this. Okay. Right. And Tom said,
and then me showing the damn new drone.
And Tom said they set you. Tom's quote was, they set you up to reach further into your pocket. Okay, those are the 2 predictions. We're gonna pull back out. Stevie, now here we go, Stevie. Stevie, changeable lens, 4K 120. Okay.
And then everybody
I don't even have. There's not much more of a carrot. I got a dangle in front of him. Okay.
360 optical avoidance on top of that,
and a 50-minute flight time. Okay, so
I could document wifey chasing me out of the house and won't miss me. I just lock it on me and see me running down the block because I bought another drone.
Yeah, I'll tell you, DJI should have a deal. DJI should really work out a deal with either Coach or Versace or one of these companies. Okay,
their marketing is off the hook.
When you buy a drone,
so when you buy for you, you know, it's a buy one get
a woman.
Honestly,
not half off.
I want to do a
buy
PSA.
one. Buy her one too. Yeah.
I want to do a PSA real quick, right?
Yeah.
The Air 2, most people, I say 90%, even more than 90% of the people do not need to upgrade. They do not need to upgrade because the Air 2 is an amazing drone. It provides amazing images. You don't really need that 1-inch sensor, especially if you're just doing little YouTubes and sharing on Facebook and stuff like that. You really don't need to upgrade. Device. I would tell everybody to sit tight and just enjoy that drone.
Okay.
And I'm done right there. I got it because I wanted to introduce more light and all the other stuff, but I don't think it's necessary, honestly. I was doing amazing stuff with the Air 2.
Well,
you want to know?
It's such a nimble package, though. It's such an easy package to take.
I don't
take on
this. Coupled with
those people that are under pressure and they just bought the Air 2. I know a lot of people that just bought the Air 2.
Yeah.
You know, they waited a while and you know, they just got it. Don't feel the pressure, honestly. Right. Don't feel the pressure to buy the latest greatest.
Well, here's my take on that. I tell you like this. I don't tell anybody how to have fun. If you can do it and it's not costing you a month's rent and it's not hurting you or you're not, if it's something that you want to do and you can do it, do you, because there's guys out there that's doing it. And if you want to do it, do it. I mean, if that's something that you want to do, hey.
If you don't have to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for dinner.
Truthfully speaking, like Stevie said, I mean, do you need to have it? No, you don't. Nobody needs to have anything. Do you want it? Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. It's just a want thing. And we always want, you know, the latest and the greatest, the biggest and the baddest. You know, back in the day, it was the longest caddy
almost every week.
The longest caddy coming around the corner was the baddest dude out.
It's still turning, and you're looking at it.
You know what I'm saying? So
you haven't seen the back fenders yet. That's a bad caddy.
What's the old saying? Show me a hot drone, and I'll show you a guy who's tired flying it. Was that the way it went? I'm not sure.
Something like that.
In the ballpark.
Well, listen, I'm going to say one thing, and I'm going to leave that topic alone so Herman can get to the next story. But I remember when the Mavic 2 series came out and the Mavic 2 Pro, people had the Mavic 2 Pro and people had the Mavic 2 Zoom. And they were saying, that's it. I don't need anything else. I remember that.
You had people who bought a Mavic 2 camera, Mavic 2 Zoom camera.
I remember
were satisfied with changing it out when they wanted to switch, right? I mean, come on.
I remember that too,
some of those-
Lawrence. And then those drones started falling out of the sky because the batteries were bloated.
but some of those same people are holding out for the 3.
That's true.
Yeah, you know, a lot
They're
of
holding
two,
out for sticker shock, man.
a lot of 2 Pro
Yeah,
owners
you're right,
are waiting for the
Wolfram.
3, right? Herman, you hit
Hey,
the nail on
Andy.
the head. A lot of 2 Pro owners are waiting for the 3. They never invested in the Air 2, obviously, because it's
They
smaller
felt it was a
sensor.
step down.
Yeah, they didn't want to get the Air 2 because it was a step down, the smaller sensor.
Right.
And then the Air 2S came out and they don't have the aperture, adjustable aperture. So they're still waiting. And you know, it's fine. Like
I know
Herman
how
said,
to fly drone without an adjustable aperture. I had the Phantom 4 standard. So
It's not the non-adjustable aperture is not the game changer. It
all you
really
need are
isn't.
filters, because that's what I had on my standard, and I was able to pull off some things that some people
Exactly.
didn't know how, but maybe because I had a
There's
little
people, please check, really check the number of people who even realize they have an adjustable aperture on the Mavic 2 Pro. Okay, please.
True.
Let's be real.
that's
about it.
another
That's
thing.
true.
That's another
Okay.
thing like Tom just touched on. A lot of people haven't even figured out their Air 2.
They're
all the
flying it
features-
in auto.
They haven't even
Okay.
figured it all out. And
And
they're
I'm not
concerned about
making-
jumping. You know, I'm just saying, like, some
Right.
people just feel pressure because everybody else is popping up with them.
Yeah, and
That's all I'm saying.
listen,
Don't feel the
people,
pressure because it's amazing drone. The Air 2
I'm not trying to embarrass anybody that shoots in auto mode. And look, I've been shooting a lot of my FPV stuff in auto mode because I want to focus on the flying more than anything, right? But look, however you fly and however you capture your imagery, as long as it's good for you, it's good for us.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you're enjoying your
But there are tools within the drones that you currently own that you haven't even scratched the surface with. Okay.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of
That is
flexibility that you can grow into. So if you're one of those that wants to live with that drone and you feel comfortable that you're not going to need much more, I'm going to tell you something. You do already have much more in it. You haven't even leveraged yet. So explore, and be a sponge. Go up on YouTube. You want to find out about a feature, go up on YouTube and throw a search up
Yeah,
there. You
stop
probably will
asking
find
your
dozens
friend,
of it.
how do I do this? You can find out a lot easier on YouTube than asking someone, how do I do a manual orbit?
Well, the other thing is you're going to get several different sources coming back, right?
Yes.
And now an intelligent person is going to look at a few different sources and get to the answer they want. Instead of maybe your friend doesn't have much more of a skill set than you do and never use that feature.
True.
So you're really not going to get the information you're looking for. When you go to meetups, yeah, there's a wider group of people there.
Right. This guy.
Okay, there's a more diverse scale of experience, but YouTube is a great source. I mean, come on, we can start naming all the people that we follow and good sources of information. I mean, from Billy Kyle to Ken to, you name it, Half Chrome Dome, 51 Drones, the list goes on and on and on. Flight Path and Phonio. Great sources of info.
Mhm.
And there's the little low subscription groups, individuals too that have some great info out there. So definitely do your searches out there. There's so much in the drones you currently own that you're not even using yet.
It's true. It's very, very true.
You see what JSK wrote? You don't even get time to use your drone before the next one comes out.
Oh no, man. They are getting look. It's the razzle dazzle. Okay.
Well, the FPV drone, a lot of people are talking about how the FPV drone came out and then this drone came out. I think a lot of people don't put in perspective that the FPV drone was delayed. I don't think that drone was supposed to come out when it was supposed to come out a lot sooner than it really did. For whatever reason, they probably had issues with software and whatever. They were trying to tweak it out. I believe that drone was supposed to come out a long time ago. And I think that's why there's so many leaks. I think there was so many leaks because when something's out for that long, now you have more time for these people to be like, oh, I had this drone for so long. He let his buddy see it and his buddy take a picture and you have more potential of having leaks the longer something's out in somebody's hands. The FPV drone, I think that they just finally got it together and just got it out. For whatever reason, that was delayed, and then the Air 2S seemed like it was right behind it. And I think that's how that went down.
I don't really think there are any leaks. I think that this all calculated.
No, it's all orchestrated, right, Herman?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
That's R&D, research and
It's not
development.
like, somehow it got out. Everything?
Not everything, but FPV drone was the most.
No, but seriously,
drone.
you've seen companies that keep things hush hush till it's ready to come out, and you've seen leaks come out from these companies, but everything that they come out with gets leaked.
Yeah,
It's part of their marketing scheme. It's pure and simple. Just resign yourself to the fact.
Oh, I have already.
Yeah, you're not going to see the plane up in the sky pulling the banner that says new DJI drone coming out tomorrow.
Yeah,
you already know it.
What I think happens is sales start or are predicted to drop off at a certain point when you market anything. They climb when they come out, they level off, and they slowly decline as time goes on. It happens with any product. Now, what DJI seems to be in the habit of doing is, soon as whatever they have levels off, they start leaking or testing the market out there to see if there's another desire for a different type of bird with these so-called leaks. And once these leaks are out there, they know whether they can come out with a new drone or not. Like X Dynamics, I'm waiting for them to bring their Evolve 2 out. Come on, you don't think DJI has a closet full of shit they're ready to bring out for that?
To counter.
You know, and they test, and the reason I know that they test stuff with us is, you remember the Mavic Pro series, right? They first started messing with the map and letting you know where airplanes were. Remember? They had that feature on the Mavic Pros where it pointed in the direction where the plane was. It let you know where that plane was. That was just a test market for stuff to come, because they're using it in everything now.
Right.
What have they marketed that you didn't want? Okay.
What happened?
So there's a successful company right there.
What
have they marketed that you didn't pine for?
True, I agree.
If I had all the scratch in the world and that wasn't the obstacle, you own everything they put out there. Okay. So they got you. They got you by the short hairs, man.
You want to know how bad they got me, Tom? I've already told the wife, if there's a major event or something happening and we have to evacuate the house, I will go
You're
get
taking the drones, huh?
But on my back, I will have my fan. I'm being honest.
If he falls
No,
down,
what
they
you
gotta
actually
climb
see,
over
Herman.
you and the drones to get out.
Herman,
jump over both
what
of them.
you actually see is he's chasing after his swarm of drones. They're getting themselves out. Okay, that's how autonomous they got in the household. Okay, they're flying themselves out of harm's way. Look,
Lawrence now grabbing the drone before he says fire.
Everything
Before he
that
says
they're
fire.
doing.
Make sure you got a clear path.
Fixing to send his back fluently between DJI Air unit and FPV drone. What are you sending back? DJI has a closet full of crap. Of course they do. But what are you sending? What were you sending back? I missed the conversation. Or yeah, maybe I did catch. I did miss most of the conversation. I was wondering what Night Train was saying.
Well, look, he's got a problem because he's got, I guess, an original DJI Air unit.
Air unit?
Oh, the Air unit.
Okay, which of course is not compatible. There's issues there. They're not perfect, man. They're not perfect, but they're not stupid either. So, when has any of these leaks eroded their bottom line?
FPV drone he's sending back.
Okay.
He's sending the FPV drone back?
Yeah. You're gonna have to do a video on that.
Yeah, Eddie said he loves the P4 PV2. It reminds him of the Inspire, and Eddie does have an Inspire.
I don't know if you want to get into what the next story before we talk about, because I wanted to talk about what happened when me and Lawrence was flying recently.
Herman, you got a story for the next story to come up, and we still have about 45 minutes.
All right.
of time.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you want to go with that, Stevie, or you want me to
No,
do
I
this,
think we should do the
next?
story and then we'll finish
Okay.
up with it.
Well, AIRT, or I'm going to call them ART, was awarded a federal grant to improve public safety drone operations.
Drone responders.
Air International Response
Yeah.
Team, which is what it is, from the has been awarded a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Commerce to help public safety and emergency drone operation programs. ART will help public safety programs to establish a standard and training programs.
So this, Herman, this short of this is NIST. I talked to you guys about this. I've taken a course.
That's why I brought this.
The National Institute of Science and Technology, by the way, works for the Department of Commerce.
Right.
In fact, drone responders, I've worked with drone responders and the good retired Chief Charlie there. Drone responders is a group of public safety individuals that are promoting the use of this kind of technology, but not just promoting the use of it, promoting standards.
Right.
So that one public safety provider from here working a disaster someplace else with a different group of public safety providers can speak the same language, can perform the basics, okay, to contribute to to incident mitigation. In fact, they went ahead and they named Katie Thelmeyer, a firefighter out of Woodlawn, Ohio. And I worked with Katie for a week out at down in Maryland at NIST. And NIST set up a course. And in fact, guys, hopefully, Herman, you put it in the comments below in the links. You put a link to the drone responder, the NIST course at droneresponder.com. And actually,
I have that link.
It was built out. It was built out to allow departments to build their own training setups. And there are standards employed with those training setups. And those standards are dynamic because they're based on the aircraft that you're flying. So while you can fly the same courses, your ratings on those courses and the standards on those courses are different, okay, based upon the type of aircraft you fly.
You see what Robert T put? He put a UAS for public safety as a great group on Facebook as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are in the public safety realm, look up drone responders. It's a great group of people, okay? And the mission is very, very clear. Get everybody's standards, okay, so they can work with them and they can develop their levels of experience with it. Now they NIST with assistance from groups of people like myself and others, and I was honored to be part of that group to help develop this, was basically building these stands that you could put these 5-gallon buckets on, and inside the buckets we have targets. And those buckets are placed on these stands at different angles. And what you have to basically do is fly through a course, and you're told to identify different targets at different stages in the course. And you have to have camera acuity, not just be able to perform with the drone and put yourself in the right place, but actually being able to maneuver the camera and capture the right image quickly before moving on to the next target. And everything is done under the observation, okay, of a scorer. And you go through these courses, and even putting targets inside vans, inside building windows, inside just different things, and how you have to come through the course and get to the next target. And even branching that into an indoor type scenario. Now, NIST was involved in developing some of the courses for bomb unit technicians to go through with their ground robotics.
Well,
and so NIST went ahead and advanced this to the aerial arena as well. So NIST, hats off to them, a wonderful group.
Well, the link I wanted to point out the links that I posted. If you actually go to this link when you get a chance, you can see the different types of tests. Like Tom mentioned, there's one here. I'll share the screen really quick.
Yeah, go ahead, pull it
But
up.
they actually have a one called Approach, Impacts, Initial Test Method Suite. But I clicked on Approach, and it immediately came up with information on what they're testing.
Yeah, if you go ahead, scroll down a little. Right there, implementing standard test methods. Okay, so the reasons why this was done, right, was clearly identified here. These were our goals, is to repeat, okay, your capabilities, okay, and what those are, from your capabilities to your trade-offs to your readiness. So all that information. This link is great, by the way, because if I'm not mistaken, the entire training course is up here.
Yes,
So
it
if
is.
you
It
do
is
have a
their whole
small
program.
department,
Yes,
or
it
you
is.
have a large piece of land
is.
you'd like to put together a little obstacle course, so to speak, you'll see the NIST courses above. Now scroll, yeah, right there. That's a good representation. So what the goal was to create that standard test methods that could be employed by any department, basically, with a very, very small investment. I mean, you can buy these 55-gallon drums at your local hardware store.
And set up.
You can either use PVC pipe or 2x4s and build your various stands, and all the information for that, plus the graphics for the targets and all of that, is contained within this documentation.
Right, like
so
they want.
you could, right, they're different. If you see the letter C,
Right, they're
look at the
testing the
opening in the
thermal.
C.
Yeah,
Look at the opening in the C. So you have to be able to identify what the orientation of the image that you're seeing is in, because your next instruction might be to see a southward bound C in target 27.
which
you'll
is
have to,
right here. Yes.
right, you would have to see that in a C within pointed down. And, so there's all different ways you can use this. And it's also significant that this can be employed for different types of departments also. Okay, so this could be used for law enforcement. It could be used for fire suppression. It could be used for EMS. It could be used for forestry. It could be used for search and rescue. Okay, you can set up courses where you have different types of pictographs, and you want them to identify in a crowded area this one image.
Yeah.
Where you can create an obstacle course with that one image embedded in this whole host of images, and set your pilot out to go find it. Okay.
Right.
Acuity, skill set, muscle memory.
What'd you say, Herman?
That's what all these things develop.
Oh, they're using it to create standards.
Yes.
Because look, it's just like being an EMT, emergency medical technician, or a paramedic, or a nurse, or a doctor, a firefighter. And isn't it one of the things we're looking for is also standards with police officers, right? Here's a standard. To be called a paramedic, you have to have this much training. You have to have this much experience. Okay. You have to have gone through refresher training with this kind of interval. The same thing about being a nurse. You can't just walk into a hospital, call yourself a nurse.
No.
You have to go to school. You have to become educated. You have to gain experience.
Or
they'll let you be a floor nurse.
Or open a Facebook account and you're a specialist.
There you go. Well, of course, we're all doctors,
doctor,
lawyers,
a politician,
right? A Facebook doctor, a Facebook lawyer. Okay.
There you go.
But there are also plenty of Facebook pilots too.
But what if you get what if you get the video though?
Well, that's why I said go to YouTube.
You get the video.
Okay. No doubt you can watch a YouTube video on how to do an appendectomy.
When you fill the syringe, you squeeze a little loud, you get the air bubbles out, you hit it. And you
you got to tap it. You got to just tap it.
Yeah. That looks good. See? To tap it.
Everybody's a pro.
When I saw them tapping and squirting out the end, I'm going, there's another dose of fucking vaccine you just gave me.
All you need is a legit email and a clever password, and that's it. You're a specialist.
There you go.
You know it all.
Hey guys, guess what? Wingcopter's in Japan. Yep, they're partnering with ANA.
Right.
H.
The Japanese aviation, yeah,
Yeah, them.
Them.
those guys. That's their version of those guys.
Yeah. German drone manufacturer and
With a bigger
service
budget.
provider Wingcopter has partnered with what's this?
What's up, Paulie?
Nepal Airways. Yeah, that's their version of those guys. Yeah, okay. to,
Great
to trial drone delivery to the island communities of Japan.
Right.
Now, this is a big thing for Wingcopter because they're going to be delivering to island areas. This is just similar to what we were talking about with
That thing's
need
moving.
for drone use
Yeah,
Flying,
in
yeah,
Africa in certain places
Well,
that are
look
harder
at
to get to.
Herman. Japan
Yeah,
is a nation of
never been
islands.
there.
Yeah.
Well, no, I
It's
know
a
that,
nation
but
of islands, man.
Yeah, I
So,
got
so
that.
this is they're like a perfect candidate for this because there are so many small inhabited islands that make up Japan
Mhm.
that getting resources to some of those islands can be pretty difficult.
Yep.
So I think what this company's starting off the same way, right, Herman, with like Zipline,
Yeah.
with doing the medical deliveries first,
Yes, it did.
Right.
because look, the medical deliveries, that's life changing when you think about it. That elevates a quality of life and a standard of life that if you're in a large metropolitan area with resources available, you take for granted. But when you're in a remote environment like this, in an island, I mean, you can't even jump in the car and drive to the hospital. You gotta get a boat. So this becomes a perfect candidate for
I mean,
beneficial
like living
use.
on governors.
Yeah,
You need to get a boat to get into the mainland. But
Right.
they earlier this year they announced a $22 million funding round, and last year they obtained a critical partnership with UPS and Merck. So
Yep.
yeah. So they're getting the
doing some
muscle.
things.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
because they also have a scalable platform also.
Mhm.
They're starting off with the small deliveries, but they have a platform they can grow to deliver much weightier commodities.
Yeah, they're planning on doing going into like consumer goods and
Yeah,
food and stuff like
groceries,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Staples.
yeah. So
Yeah.
but it's smart, obviously, right? So you start with the medical, and then you get all these other companies to get involved as far as funding and stuff like that. They're basically improving lives, saving lives.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's an easier
so good.
sale. Yeah, when you're going in that direction, it's an easier sale. Now you grow, and now you're standing on your own feet, and you could go in whatever direction you want at that point, right?
Well, also let's not discount the fact that you have to look at what the cost per mile, right, for delivery is, and when you take all those things into consideration, your cost per mile for getting commodities from that port to that island, a boat is not an economical transport method, not unless you're hauling thousands of containers on it. Okay. If you're hauling a small amount of commodities for a small group of inhabitants on an island, that's going to be a pretty expensive proposition. Now, if you can do that much cheaper with a sustainable drone solution,
It's a
the cost of
no-brainer,
delivery just drops
right?
astronomically to where now that's how you're really going to improve it, because right now they have deliveries by boat, but they're so infrequent that impacts the quality of life there.
Yeah.
Now, with the cost being so much lower, the frequency in which they can fly these missions are going to be much higher, to where it becomes a normal staple, I think. So,
Right.
it's a nice thing to see that they're getting the muscle behind them, Herman.
True.
And they got the investment community behind
They're
them.
doing big things.
Right. And that's a big deal with the UPS thing.
Imagine just, what was it, 5-6 years ago? I approached an insurance company about commercial drone insurance, And they went, excuse me? You know, and I actually had to go to BWI, an aviation company I insured with previously, and, you know, and pay ridiculous rates. But now this kind of technology is mainstream, right?
It's more common. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, now drone insurance is a thing. Get it on the fly.
You can get it
And
minute by
Verifly's
minute if you need
doing
it. Yeah.
What do you say, Lawrence?
Verifly's making a killing with that.
There's
Oh,
several
yeah.
companies. Yeah, yeah. Skywatch IO, VeriSign. Yeah, these, you know, and they also offer, so for those of you that don't know, you can get an on-demand policy to fly a single mission, but they also insure on monthly rates, and they also insure what's known as hull insurance, or the actual insurance on the on your aircraft. So they do provide those now, and this way you're not stuck in a long-term policy if you're going to fly in frequently. But they do have options if you do fly more frequently as well. So they're worth checking out.
Right. Right.
And the more you fly with them, they give you bigger discounts because of safety factors. Okay, the more experience they get with you, it's just like being that newly insured driver. You're going to pay the highest rates
higher
until you
premium,
get some
yeah.
experience, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what they do. But that was the stories we had for the night. I mean, we still got a few more minutes, but we got
Yeah,
yeah. What happened? What happened, guys?
No,
with your
we
little
just found something.
sunrise meetup.
So, all right. So first off, let's talk, Lawrence, about. I brought up the Air 2S. Now it was a sunset flight. Now we had a building to our left, and it was shadowing us and the beach.
Yeah.
I brought the Air 2S a couple of feet away from myself, and I'm talking to Lawrence, and I'm like, why is my drone screaming? It's going beep 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 beep, beep, like if something's in front of it. Absolutely nothing around the drone. No trees, no birds. We're looking at the drones, maybe like 10 feet away from us, and maybe 15 feet in the air, or maybe a little more. Absolutely nothing, and we're in the shadow of the building.
What's up, Ray?
That was something that, you know, me and him were talking, and we stopped talking. I was like, look at the drone, and the thing is screaming.
He just
literally just took off.
Hovering.
Just hovering there.
And now, had it been facing into the sun or off to the angle, but we were in the shade and it was facing away from us and looking
away from the sun,
looking into the light where the sun was shining.
And we were in the shadow of the building.
It was beeping like a slot machine.
It was going crazy. And all I did was move it a little bit and it stopped.
Yeah.
That was something weird. And I don't know what was that about. I guess it's something that we'll see. I'll see when I fly more. That was only the second flight that I had. Since I had the drone, second drone session, maybe the second battery that day. But another thing that was interesting, and I spoke to Herman about this because I went to visit Herman too. I was flying down the beach with the FPV drone. I started with the FPV drone because I wanted to catch the sun just breaking land, you know. So I was doing passes, and I got to a certain part of the beach. I was like right where the water meets the beach, you know, trying to get those low shots real fast. And all of a sudden the drone just stopped. I was in sports mode, you know, the full turn mode, you know, it's sports mode, and then they have the options. So it just stopped, and it gave me this warning. I forgot what the wording was, but it was like it hit like a geo zone, basically, you know, like it just stopped. But meanwhile, we were in a 400 feet ceiling, and there was no line, like a direct line, like, you know how you're in a bubble within a bubble, so you hitting that second bubble.
Ariel's just said an insect landed on your sensor.
You know what?
No,
it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
You know what it is? It's technology, man.
The props were shredded, though.
But Stevie, Herman
I've had the same experience with the FPV drone.
It happened with my Phantom, but not with my Phantom Standard, not with my Phantom 4 Pro, Stevie.
Right.
We were flying from the same spot, the same takeoff spot, and I would notice that when I tried to go straight down the beach where the water meets the sand and the boardwalk very closely, I would start drifting off to the side like this, and I'm pressing forward. Come to find out, I was riding the outside of this bubble. Now, for some reason, DJI seems to believe that that particular park is and should be geofenced off.
Right. And only DJI, because we check before you fly. And
That's a
you
problem.
check-
Yeah, that's been a problem with them. Yeah.
and Lawrence checked air maps.
Yes.
And we both checked two different apps.
And the only thing you can do is what some people think is sacrilegious. Update your fly safe database. Okay. So that's the only way those things change, by the way. If you
But you know what's
later
interesting?
releases, but
Right.
that doesn't mean they're right. Okay.
The
I've
story-
run
that's
into that
true.
a few times, Steve.
That
The
is
story-
true, Tom, but here's what else happened.
Yeah.
He eventually came back from flying. He realized if he goes around that area, it doesn't
Yeah.
affect.
Yeah, I basically avoided it and I just looped around like when I hit that wall, but it stopped my drone. Keep that in mind. It stopped my drone and I couldn't go past that bubble. It like literally slowed it down from 60 plus and I stopped. I couldn't.
Yeah.
It was like an invisible wall.
Now
Well,
hold on. He also
So
took off with the 2S, and what happened was he head straight towards to see if it would affect his drone like it did the DJI FPV bird. And he mentioned that he got a warning on screen, but he was able to fly into it.
It did not stop me at all. I
So,
went
Stevie,
past
I
the warning popped up on the screen, and I went past that imaginary bubble and beyond. I went like 2,000 feet beyond that. I went to there was like a pile of rubble on the other side, and I started doing my shots, the shots I wanted to capture, the reason why I wanted to get over there. And that's it. And I came back, no problems. It was crazy because both of these
it's weird, right?
relatively new. They should be on the same.
Well, I had a problem with the FPV drone last week where I was flying in a regular park, basically big athletic fields, AstroTurf, all that, flying around, and I kept on like hitting a brick wall. It would just stop, and for no reason, I didn't, and what would happen was I have to hit the pause button to get it to move again.
Release?
So now I go out and I fly in the dry lake bed. Okay. I'm flying 60, 70 miles an hour, and I come back and I got a layer of dust on that ND filter that you think, and then I got my little spray can that I'm blowing out the sensors with, because the thing is encased in dust. It didn't stop once. Okay. But on a clear day at a park with nothing but grass around, it just froze in midair, and there was nothing around. I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. And it wasn't a geo zone. So
Well,
Yeah.
see, this is what's strange
There's
because
something that's happening with it.
But this is what I wanted to point out, and I've noticed this on several parks out here where I live, where the parky house is or the bathrooms. For some reason, in that immediate area and where the tables are, there seems to be a little geofence. And what I mean by that is, there's on Beach 29th Street where we flew, Stevie. We flew where the jetties were. There was a parky house there, and I noticed that they have an antenna on top of the parky house.
Right.
And every time I fly too close to my FPV drone, the video goes haywire for a few seconds until I'm away from it.
That's
And
scary when you're on
what
that.
I'm starting to believe is now in certain parks and areas, they are putting these bubbles up because they don't want you flying. Now, I
they
may
are
be
not.
wrong, I may be right, but I'm noticing.
They're not that savvy, please. They're not.
So
You give the
what
government too
is it
much
with
credit
these
there.
parky houses
No,
that gives
no.
off all this
It could be the
interference,
parky is a ham radio operator broadcasting way above his FCC license.
you know?
Or there could be
I
a
never thought
bad
about
ground.
that. I
at the
didn't think about
location. Okay.
So
But
you-
believe me, New York and people, this at least goes for my city. New York City Parks Department, they're not that savvy.
Hey, Ray Kelly.
Nor are
They're
they
still
gonna
trying to count how many
mark
bushes
the
they
park
have.
house.
Okay, so don't worry about it. They're not blocking your
Well,
signal.
Tom, I have a question.
Not on purpose. Not on purpose.
I would just
Not on
hope.
purpose.
I'm
okay?
noticing that around certain
up, Ray?
parks
How
in
are
the
you?
city, in certain parks in the city, your DJI drones will not take off, even if there's a ceiling of 200, 300, or 400 feet. But as you go around this, and what I mean, Herman saw, I
Clark
was
has
pressing
more
straight
shit going
forward,
on
and
than
the
Bridge
drone
Park.
driving like this to the side as I was pressing forward.
Depends
I
on
was
where
flying
you
on the
are.
outside of the bubble.
And realize that DJI's GIS information and the FAA's GIS information don't always align.
They don't.
Okay.
Because I hit imaginary bubble that was on no other app.
I know what
Right,
Lawrence
right.
and-
That's
and-
not
I know what Lawrence
uncommon.
is talking about, and it makes absolutely no sense that it's actually there.
Look, a major public safety agency with a COA, certificate of authorization, that can fly anywhere in the continental US, still had trouble lifting off some DJI aircraft because of these imaginary bubbles that don't exist anyplace else.
What was strange was
Okay.
the Air 2S went right past that imaginary. It gave me like a notification in the screen. It did
Yes.
not hesitate. It blew right past that bubble and beyond it, and it was like no
I
limitation.
haven't yet seen, and I've seen plenty of FlySafe database update messages, okay, for the camera drones. I have yet to see one for the FPV drones.
That's true. Rob C. also said, here's now, along the beach where I fly, along the entire beach, except when the flight path is changed from Kennedy and they're coming in over the ocean, they lower the Lance lowers the
It's never lower than
max
500
altitude to 200 feet. If the planes are coming over the peninsula, that path is 200 feet. But Rob C. was where we were, and the only place he could fly from, Herman and I can't even remember Stevie, was from Beach 9th Street. We went down to Beach 20th, and he couldn't even get off. He couldn't even get off the ground.
And that's what the Mavic, what Mavic he had?
A Mavic Pro.
The Mavic Pro like yours, the one that you fly.
No, Mavic
problem.
Pro 2. Mavic 2
Oh, he had
Pro.
the 2 Pro. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand how one drone could do something and the other one can't. And it could be an update thing, and they haven't updated the FPV
It's an
drone
update
and stuff
thing.
like
They're
that.
not synced.
Always an
Okay.
update.
Right. Yeah, that was strange. And it seems like I hear a lot of complaints about geozoning with the
Well,
the
when
FPV
you're in a
drone.
private aircraft, you have to be below 500 feet when you come around Point Lookout, unless you're
They're
cleared
not
to
gonna
fly
react,
through
Brent.
Class B airspace.
Brendan
Unless you
O'Connor,
get
they're
it-
not going to react because I've been trying to contact and complain. Out here where I live, they have a heliport. The hospital has been closed for 10 years, and the heliport is still active.
Right on the map.
Look on your map,
on the
the
sectional.
heliport, the hospital is torn down and it's leveled. It's an empty field now, and it still shows the heliport there.
They being
It still
optimistic,
shows
bro.
the heliport active.
You can't be optimistic.
Dude,
Maybe one day they'll come back.
There's nothing
Can
there
you
but
spell bureaucracy?
They might pull up one of those
that's what it is,
medical
Lawrence.
trucks.
It's still on the geofence list.
Yeah.
It's just that the problem with it is if in the world of bureaucracy, if the other guy didn't stamp it, that guy doesn't know what the hell.
Hey, should we take this off the list? No, did you see a memo? No, I didn't get a memo.
Inspector 12,
It stays
if
on the
Inspector
list.
12 don't stamp it,
But there's an
Inspector
apartment building
13 is
there.
totally confused.
They filed
Right,
it.
Right,
in the
it's
office.
no longer a ball field. Ebbets Field isn't there. Ebbets projects are there now. It doesn't matter. Still shows on the map.
Well,
That's
people
just
that
bureaucracy.
people
That's
that don't have the FPV drone, I'll tell you this: if you hit any of these geo zones, if you full acro, your drone will go right into normal mode. It would just pop instantly because I was just practicing my full acro, and I was
Too
like,
bad. Too bad that didn't happen for Courtney, huh?
Oh wow! But I was doing my full acro thing.
I was trying to see if he was in the chat.
Oh, okay. He would have commented on
He'd
that.
acknowledge right away. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that is true, Big Matt. Depending on how it's optimized in the software.
Yeah. Definitely, they're definitely different amongst them. And there's differences also between Go app aircraft and Fly app aircraft. So there's differences there as well.
Well, we
But
just
you know,
proved it.
a lot of people don't like to update that because they think there's more restrictions coming in place. When in fact, sometimes there's less restrictions
Right.
because areas have opened up.
They
Right.
make
So,
adjustments. So obviously the Air 2S has the latest, and they haven't updated, like you said, they haven't updated anything really on the FPV drone. So now I'm hitting an imaginary wall at that
Yeah.
particular location. And what I was going into before was I was practicing my little acro and just getting familiar with full acro control. And I would get too close to that geo fence, boom, right into normal mode.
Yeah.
It's so
And
abrupt.
he was up at a decent height. You know, he wouldn't hit any trees or anything.
Yeah.
And I would hear him just, whoa. Yeah. All of a sudden, it would just come to a screeching stop.
It would scream. You know how it screams, Tom, when it stops.
yeah. Oh, please.
It does like a
You
like,
can't go unnoticed with this bird.
oh yeah, no.
Okay.
It attracts people. I think
She's like, look at me, look at me.
exactly. I think
Yeah.
Finding time was somewhat of an issue to practice, because if I find time, usually I go fly, you know, and just have more footage and stuff like that. Now I have to kind of find time to practice and then find time to actually fly and just enjoy my day, you know. Now finding time to practice has become finding a place to practice that I'm not attracting all this negative attention, because the thing is loud. It's loud. Even if you put it up in the air, when you start, you know, doing your maneuvers and like I'm practicing diving and stuff like that. And Lawrence thought I was diving a building. I was like, not yet. He's like, well, I'm like, I'm diving. Are you diving a building already?
Stay away from dog parks.
Yeah. No, oh yeah. No.
They go bonkers, man. They go.
That's what got us kicked out of the that meetup we had a couple of months back. The dogs started barking. Yeah, once the FPV guys came, see the regular camera drones, nobody even knew. All you see is a bunch of guys with remotes in their hand. You don't see the drones. You know, everybody's getting the skyline and everything. Most of the people were over the river. But once the FPV drones came, it was zoo, 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 everywhere, zoo. And the dogs, I remember when that lady's dog started barking, I already knew. It's just a matter of time before the Parks Police or NYPD come.
The barking dog belonged to a Karen. Huh?
Yeah, her dog was going crazy, and they were, you know.
Yeah, Brendan, I know that the ham operator couldn't really impact his drone, but then again, remember Lawrence believes there's a conspiracy in park houses, so it's okay.
But, all right, now these antennas or these high frequency things that you're talking about, Tom. There was an island. I think it's like border Westchester County, upstate New York, right? And you cannot fly over it. They have like I don't know what they have on the island, like property or whatever, but you lose signal. It's not that far from land, from the mainland basically. But it seems like what Lawrence said, it has some kind of maybe a high frequency antenna or something of that nature.
I don't know what it is, but they have them on top of all the park houses.
What do you think, Tom?
At least out here. And I've noticed since I've been flying FPV, it has been increasing recently over the last year. And what it is, I don't know.
I tell you,
speculate.
Well, okay, so
this particular Tom, before you go in, this particular island, I could orbit the island from land, orbit the island. But if I go like near it, my reception will go off. I'm talking about 200 feet, 300 feet. I can't go above it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know what that is. It's
where is it?
It's like in the border of Westchester. I think it could be considered upstate. I mean, I could show you guys like off, you know, send you a thing like a, what do you call it? Google Earth?
I'd be interested to see
like,
what that was.
like a pin. But we could we would have to literally go border 400 feet and go over it.
Okay.
But anything lower than that, you start getting reception. And like I said, you could orbit it from the mainland. You could orbit it and you'd be fine. So I was thinking maybe they had something special going on. I don't know what's going on in that island, but obviously they don't want us to know.
They don't want anybody looking down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I don't want to see is 3 black Suburbans driving up to me.
Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't want to see that.
As you're packing up?
Yeah, they're probably on you before you packed up. Okay, so.
But you were saying that, you know, some people, you know, we kind of like give them too much credit, but they must have something, right? like anti.
No, I mean there's a whole counter UAS community out there. There's no doubt about it.
Well, yeah,
But it's not a nefarious group of individuals that are just plotting against us at this point. We already have Karens for that.
The
okay?
bathrooms at Far Rock.
Yeah. Well, look. You know, Lawrence doesn't realize
Lawrence made the bathroom
he
hot.
lives on one of the major missile silos along the East Coast. Okay, so you know,
Well, listen,
Lawrence,
I don't know what you're talking
during the
about.
Cold War, they would have taken
not
out the
knocking on my
Rockaways in on first strike. Okay,
Tom, the park house top opens up.
Yeah.
and the Polaris comes out of there, man.
That's what's interfering with Lawrence.
Hey, Tom, don't be jealous because the park bathrooms out here have concierges, right, Herman?
What is that? Is that the scale? I mean, the homeless guy.
Tom,
Throws a dirty rag up for you when you're done.
I went
tell you this.
I went to go use the bathroom at the park by Lawrence.
Yeah.
Guy was in there. He had his jacket folded, sitting in there with the heat, his shoes off.
Oh my
with
God.
one leg crossed over and reading this book.
Oh man.
Like,
did he offer you mints and some cologne?
That's what I was gonna say.
I was like, the bathroom has an attendant.
He came back. Got a concierge in the bathroom.
Give you
what's happening to your neighborhood, Lawrence?
And some Calvin Klein perfume.
Yeah, tout.
That means the rent's going up, dude. What's up with
that was funny. I know the guy goes in there sometimes when the weather gets cold, but Herman was like, "You have a concierge in your bathroom?" I was like, "Tip him."
If he was in there hanging out with smoke or anything. He was just in there reading this book.
With his shoes off, relaxing.
Shoes off, bro.
Yeah.
Folding chair.
Somebody messed up on the doses for that guy. his meds level is off. He needs to go. He needs another appointment.
I don't know. He said, "What's up?" And I went about my business and I left.
Hey, look. I walked into the men's room in my headquarters building, and there was a guy down at the end eating sushi. Okay. And I was like, I didn't just see that, did I? Okay. I came out of there and I went up to my assistant and I go, tell me, just I need to know, does this person even work for me? I need to know. Okay. I got to put this person on a watch. But yeah, I mean, people, it's crazy stuff, man.
What gas station sells sushi?
They got gas station sushi. Why not bathroom?
Yeah, we had the guy who would go in there and wash his dishes in the bathroom, even though we had a pantry. That was another one I didn't understand. And then, of course, catching the guy cleaning his junk in the bathroom sink. It's like, why? And I'm not talking about somebody who is homeless or anything. I'm talking about somebody, wearing some nice jewelry and everything else. And I mean, they could just hawk what they had and get a sweep someplace. But they were washing their junk in the men's room. I'm like, man, I can't even use that. I can never use that sink again.
No, it's over.
When I've drove the truck, you see people changing in their car at certain hours of the morning. I'm like, where did you sleep last night?
Artist.
But Tom, if it's a very hot day and you had no water, nothing to drink, you wouldn't go to that faucet and drink that water from that same thing?
Dude. Yeah.
Cover your nose.
No, here's a guy who went through air crewman survival school.
It hasn't been that hot yet.
No. New York City.
You never felt that heat?
Parks restroom? No, dude.
You say it hasn't gotten that hot yet, Tom?
You get a slight scent of some
it
chicken
doesn't
nuggets.
get that hot out in the Mojave to make me do that. Okay, please.
Brad Ariel's puts. He said work at a place where they had a guy who ate pizza on the toilet every Friday.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, he's being efficient.
Yeah,
he was just being efficient.
If you drank from that park fountain from you as a kid, Tom, you already have the immunities already in you.
Yep. I think that one.
You already got them. So you could basically lick the floor in the park. You won't even get sick.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
And you know,
that one with the little
on
copper.
Parks water faucets, somebody thought, let's build them out of concrete and put the sharpest stones embedded in them. So as a kid, when you grabbed onto the faucet, you were sure to scrape yourself up.
Yeah.
So whatever petri dish was growing in there had a direct route into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
Exactly. You had the scrapes. You had the scrapes. Well, they were, you know, New York tough, right?
You get all.
You got to start somewhere.
You know, don't worry about it. Good.
Yeah, sanitary conditions in parks, restrooms are, you know, there are places out in the middle of the desert where they have these basically pits that are cleaner. Okay, restrooms than you'll get in some New York City parks. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, but who knew that Lawrence is at a concierge
in city parks?
Yeah, had a bathroom attendant. You know, people should be resourceful. Could make a good living.
Well, see, they just recently repaired the Parky House about 2 years ago. So now the bathrooms are heated. So in the winter, people actually go in and use a bathroom, and it's like 70 degrees in there. So I guess he made himself comfortable. It was cold outside. Because Herman and I, it was windy out where we were flying, but we were still able to fly. And he, I guess he just wanted, he's been known to frequent that place.
Well, if he's taking his shoes off, he's very comfortable around.
Yes, where he wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah, comfortable is a good term, Stephen.
Yeah, well, you know, some people.
I think the better term is altered mental status.
That's why he took his shoes off. It's good.
Yeah, right.
Some people can't read with their shoes on.
He was getting comfortable.
And their shoes are on, they can't read.
He was trying to be comfortable.
I don't know. He has been known to frequent there. Sometimes they chase him out, depending. Now the park is a new parks attendant. I didn't see him there this winter. Okay. But sometimes you open a door and he's sitting right. Did you open the door and he's sitting like maybe 5 feet from the door, and you see someone reading a book with their leg crossed. Their socks are in their socks, like it's nothing. And I guess it's not.
Well, you know,
as long as he doesn't offer you candy, you're fine.
Yeah,
right.
You need a Tic Tac
or a mint, and after
or some cologne,
and he takes a single Tic Tac out of his pocket.
Just a single Tic Tac with a little lint next to it, like here, put it in your hand.
Just a little bit. Extra,
you know,
no charge.
I was just thinking something. Going back to the drones, we were discussing, I believe, the last show about how the Mavic 2 Pro, when it hits the sunlight, it would think that, you know, with the contrast, it would think something's in front of it. So you will be stuck and you would have to turn around, get away from the light. I was wondering how these sensors are going to handle that, because it's pretty much the same formula. When I flew right into the sunset, I didn't have no issues, but it seems like it has to be that perfect formula, you know, like that perfect contrast to set off the sensors on the Mavic 2 Pro.
Well, basically what you're saying, it's a quirk. It's a quirk that they got to figure out and then build an algorithm to prevent it, right?
Right. So far, it's been good. Besides the shadow thing, which happened, that was so weird that like it was ringing in the shadow and it was just screaming. It just didn't stop until I moved it over.
Yeah, it was just beep, beep, beep. And I didn't hear it because I was actually getting ready to take off. I think
doing something, and I'm like, I would tell Lawrence, like, you see this? He's like, oh shoot! Like I'm not even next to nothing. It was just ringing constantly.
He was like maybe 10 feet from us, and maybe about 5 or 6 feet off the stand.
Yeah,
and in front of him, there was at least 20 feet to 30-foot distance before the sand.
We were in complete shadow. Yeah. But like I said, I did a couple of passes and I was doing some moves facing the sun as it was rising, and I didn't have any issues with the sensors. So I don't know. You know, it is what it is.
No, it's quick that they have to probably work out with firmware.
Right. But all in all, I'm happy. I had that drone session. I had another drone, the first drone session in Yonkers. And, you know, it felt like the Air 2. It just has the bigger camera and everything. The remote is the same. Everything felt the same, you know, the smoothness and all that stuff.
You didn't get to fly it with like a smart controller, right, Steve?
No, I haven't tested out a smart controller with it, but I tried with the controller it comes with.
Did you see the guy They just recently, recently saw it today on Facebook. There's a guy, he has the smart control, the joystick controller in his hand, right? And he has a DJI drone, maybe about 6 feet from him, maybe about 5 or 6 feet from him. And he jumps up in the air and spins around, and the drone spins around.
I
and
know.
not realizing his hand is crooked, the drone comes straight back at him.
And he had to get out the way, and it hit the tree,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
He
yes.
almost got decapitated by
He
his
almost
own
got
drone.
his head sliced up.
And what was this with the smart with the
The motion
the
control.
joystick.
with the motion controller?
Because
Yeah.
he jumped up in the air and spun in a circle, and he landed okay. The drone stopped, but his hand was like this after he jumped, and it just came straight at him. And had he not had cat-like reflexes, he would have been sliced up.
Yep.
He
Yep.
almost broke his back getting out the way.
Yo, he's lucky that he realized that he was perceptive enough to notice the drone was coming at him. 'Cause
Yeah.
that would these things, the FPV drone, that thing spins something ridiculous.
Oh, so I couldn't. I think I had mentioned it. I couldn't land one day with it. I had the motion controller, right?
Mhm.
And I brought it into where I was going to land, and then I picked up the goggles and I'm trying to land it, and I can't land it. Pressing the button, pointing down, nothing. It won't land. So I figured, okay, let me grab it out of the sky because it's sitting about 3 feet up. I'll grab it
Mhm.
and I'll tilt it, right?
Right.
Typical quick motor shut off, right?
Right. Right.
Oh, no. It almost ripped my arm out of the socket.
Wow.
The resistance.
And I went, it was like, ready to take off with me. And I was like, oh shit, I let go of it, like pushing it away. But then I realized it was me. It was operator error. Put the goggles back down. With the motion control, in order to land, you got to put the dot back in the target,
Okay.
in the interface, and
Okay.
then hit the button, and then she lands. So she was screaming bloody murder as I'm trying to tilt her.
It's not
Stevie,
perfectly centered.
it was like I was committing a sexual assault. Okay.
It was spiking you.
Man. Like, I'm in the middle of the desert, and I think people stopped on the highway and noticed.
Oh,
Okay.
you're looking around like Shane. I never
yeah.
took off or landed it. What happened was Billy took off.
Mhm.
And he wanted to connect it to my drone, but he took off. And then he called me over. He's like, "Come on, fly it from here." And I was already up there, so I just started doing maneuvers at 100 feet above. And then I came low by the dam, went around, but I didn't take off or land it. You know what I mean? At that point, I just passed it over.
That's the only quirky thing about it with the motion controller is, in order to land, you have to basically put it back in the target, put it back in the zone. Okay, so I guess that's for motion controller orientation.
After you assault it.
Yeah, after I commit. Okay, but yeah, boy, is she loud. I mean, I had a guy on a motorbike.
Mhm.
Okay, racing across the desert, and I swooped in and riding alongside of him. And apparently he heard it. Okay, he's on a motorcycle. And he heard the drone. Okay, because the drone was slightly behind him, and he looks back at it. Okay.
Oh man.
And believe me, his motorbike didn't have mirrors on it. So how loud is this little prick? Huh?
It is super loud.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's that time.
It's that time.
Time for us to
Start the time to start charging lipos.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Time for us to make a move to get up out of here. I'd like to thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Good stream tonight.
Yes.
And don't
We
forget to hit that
appreciate you
thumbs
all
up button.
coming.
Yes, everyone, please feel free to hit that like button. And you guys in the chat, I'd like to thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Without you, none of this would be possible. You guys come and hang out with us twice a week. And I thank you. We appreciate you all. Anybody else want anything to say?
Guys,
thank you,
Fly
everybody.
safe, man.
Yes.
Enjoy yourselves.
And we'll see you again on what's that, Sunday,
Yeah.
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Novice Quads. And I'll see you next time on Phantom Flight 101.